Hello everyone, I'm Funk, and today I want to go over the spec tree that I designed for Brewmaster. Um, the impetus for this was I was just really unhappy with Brewmaster, the spec tree. I think it's really just kind of lame. In terms of experience, I have played Brewmaster on Mythic Raid bosses. I've done some 12s, so I'm not like the most experienced, but I am acquainted with what the spec does. And I'd really like to see the spec thrive and be good. I think there is a chance that it gets reworked in the near future. I just wanted to spur discussion with this and kind of show what I would like to see for the spec. So without further ado, this is the current spec tree. This is the one I designed using the program Talent Tree Manager. There'll be a link for that down below if people want to download it and experiment. So I didn't really do much class tree stuff. The one thing I did for class tree was I removed RSK from Brewmaster, and instead of where RSK was in the class tree, there is another Keg Smash node, which essentially just adds another charge of it by default. Because I feel like 2 charges of Keg Smash is kind of what Brewmaster plays with all the time anyway, and it's kind of lame that you need to take a capstone in order to have that available. So starting off, I have made some spells baseline, so Breath of Fire, Purifying Brew, Zen Meditation, and Gift of the Ox are baseline. You learn them as you level. I think that's probably necessary. One thing I noticed in the tree is there's too many like spells that you learn that take up too much of the tree that's important. Instead, just place those nodes with things that are kind of fun instead of getting core abilities. But that still exists at the top here. So the top is a little bit different. So you get Celestial Brew and Shuffle instead of Purifying Brew. And now Spirit of the Ox is down here. So you can get this. And then I've added the ability Keg Toss. This is an ability from past expansions. One thing I've noticed with Brewmaster, it's very frustrating, and like Mythic Plus especially, is that there'll be a group of mobs and you want to get some initial threat on them, but they're not that grouped up, and you don't have a spell that you can spam to get threat on them. Like Spinning Crank Kick sucks for that, and you just don't have an option. So you could take Keg Toss for those situations, and then it's basically the same thing from Mop, where you throw the keg, it has no cooldown, and you can just, it does a very small amount of damage, and it generates high threat, and it slows them by a little bit. In this case, it replaces Crackling Jade Lightning, because that spell is normally useless for Brewmaster. Now you can use this instead to not increase button bloat, but to give you an ability that might be useful. I've moved Fortifying Brew Determination up here, and Quick Sip is the same. And here's where the tree really changes, I think. I've added Teachings of the Monastery. Blizzard have said in the past they want to make this a core idea for most specs, for monk specs. I think adding it for Brewmaster would add some more dynamic moments in your rotation because it's very static. This will make your Blackout Kick strike additional 4 times. If you watch my Windwalker rework video, this Blackout Kick will benefit from all the things that benefit Blackout Kick, but it does reduce damage. In this case, it has a chance to reset cooldown on Keg Smash, which I think would be kind of fun. Elixir Determination is the same, and this node is the same, but one thing I've changed is that Rushing Jade Wind now triggers from Spinning Crane Kick. Now, the one issue with this is I think each Jade Wind should be its own separate application. So you'll have a lot of Jade buffs. So if you spam this a lot, you'll have a lot of Jade buffs. I think it's the best way to do it. Otherwise, it gets kind of weird. I mean, you could just have it extend, but there's a node later that I don't know how that would work out. But yeah, I think reducing the button blow up by making this trigger off Crank Kick is probably for the best. And now this is a new node. This is a callback from this is a BFA Azure trait called Boiling Brew. Breath of Fire does 15% more damage and has a chance to summon a healing sphere each time it deals damage. This is really good for Mythic Plus when you have a lot of targets that have Breath of Fire on them. This allows you to just pump out a huge amount of healing spheres. And then this is where it kind of changes as well. Shadowboxing Treads and Fluidity of Motion are still a choice node, but they're over here now. And I've changed what Fluidity of Motion even does. Before it was weird. It would like reduce the damage of Blackout Kick and reduce the cooldown. But now this is just the 4-piece from Liberation of Undermine. But now it triggers off your brews. Whenever you consume a brew, you have a chance to make your next 2 casts of Blackout Kick do more damage and have reduced cooldown. It's kind of fun, more dynamic proc-based stuff, or you can go more AoE constant value stuff. August Blessing is mostly the same, but I buffed it a little bit, and I've added the PvP talent Eerie Fermentation here. So you now gain up to 30% move speed and 15% magical damage reduction based on your current level of stagger. I think this is really nice and really necessary. Like Brewmaster needs more just flat magical reduction, like most other tank specs have. It kind of holds them back. Having magic stagger is nice, but you need some kind of like flat reduction because it still does a lot of damage to you. And then I've moved facepalm up here when made it a choice node to press the advantage. I think this is kind of cool. Either you want to press Tiger Palm and you want to have it be more powerful, so you choose facepalm, or you want to just replace that global entirely, like Devastator, other similar things like that, and you take press the advantage. I think press the advantage is kind of interesting and kind of good, especially if you get haste or more attack speed somehow. This can be kind of fun. And then I've added Dance of Chiji. Abilities that grant shuffle have a chance to make your next spinning crank free and deal more damage. This is kind of a defensive and offensive node that the other two specs have as well, and it would be kind of fun to juice up spinning crank as a Brewmaster. And then I have Salsala Beam Strength here. It's much easier to get. It's not a choice node with a damage node anymore, so you can get this pretty easily if you would want. Gaiplins is the same. And then I've added a choice node here in the middle. I think Brewmaster really needs utility, especially in group settings, to differentiate it. So I've added a PvP talent, Avert Harm, which allows you to stagger 20% of the damage from the 4 closest players for 15 seconds. This will add a lot of defensive value, group defensive value for Brewmaster. This could be used in raids or Mythic Plus. It'd be kind of just useful. And then the choice node with this is Charging Oxwave. This is an ability from long ago, back in MoP and stuff. Or before, it was just a stun. It also stuns now, but now it also interrupts. So think of it like a frontal, like AoE, like axe toss from Demonology. So it gives you an interrupt and a stun option for more control. So if you want more control or you want more defensive value, you choose one of these nodes. One thing about this is that it's pretty easy if you're like a raid tank and you don't want either of these for some reason. It's pretty easy to take to path around these, to not pick either of them, if you so choose. I've reworked Tranquil Spirit, so now instead of it reducing your stagger, because I wanted to reduce the amount of like random like stagger reductions as much as possible. I think it's more satisfying to have a lot of stagger and then purifying and then have that go down by a lot. Instead, what this does is it gives you a stagger absorb shield for 50% of the healed amount, including overhealing. It's kind of fun, kind of way better in my opinion, to just get the stagger absorb shield. So your stagger is still being reduced, but it's being reduced in a way that's like, oh, it's an absorb shield. So if I purify, I'm not wasting a lot of the value there. And that was Zen Meditation being baseline. I've added Fundamental Observation back, so it has reduced cooldown and is no longer canceled when you move or when you are hit by melee attacks. This is really crucial. I think Zen Meditation in its current state is a joke. I don't know why it really exists. It sucks, personally. So this node kind of needs to exist on the tree. This node is a little different choice node. It's kind of just a damage choice node for Breath of Fire. Either Keg Smash deals more damage to enemies affected by Breath of Fire, or you Breath of Fire and it does more damage. Kind of up to you which one you want to choose. And then I've added Firestone Fortification. This is a legendary from Legion. For each enemy hit you hit with Breath of Fire, reduces the cooldown of Breath of Fortifying Brew by 1 second up to a max of 4 seconds. This synergizes with Salsala Beams quite a bit and gives you some extra CDR if you want on Fortifying Brew. And then Bob and Weave and Light Brewing are a choice node now. So if you want longer stagger, or do you want more brews to smooth out your damage, or do you want to be able to have more control over your health bar kind of thing. And then I've added Overflow. This is a Legion artifact trait, and one with the one with the wind thing that I removed, I turned it into a Fortifying Brew buff, because one thing from like the Druid tree is kind of cool that you have, like, I think it's kind of a missed opportunity that you have these like Fortifying Brew nodes on the tree, but there's only like one. So like it's kind of like, why does only one? So I added a second one where it has a 25% chance not to reset its stacks after successful dodge when all Fortifying Brew is active. This is kind of nice for like the dodge themed part of the tree. And then Overflow, it has a chance equal to your crit to summon a greater healing sphere. So it scales with secondary stats. And then I've changed Pretense of Instability. Instead of giving you flat 10% dodge, it gives you a stack of Elusive Brawler. And then I've added a node off of that buff Zen Meditation. So Zen Meditation either increases your movement speed by 60% and creates a ring of healing spheres around you. This is kind of similar to there was Chi Explosion for Mistweaver. It used to create a ring of healing spheres. I've kind of taken that idea, and then the fact that I want to move fast. It's kind of like a Pac-Man thing where you create a bunch of orbs and then you can run around in a circle and pick them up if you want. Kind of like a throughput thing. Or a utility node where Zen Meditation redirects all harmful spellcasting against party members within 30 yards to you while it is active. This is a reference to what this used to do. Then I've combined this with the old Ring of Peace, where enemies that attack or cast harmful spells towards you are silenced and disarmed for 4 seconds. So it gives you a little bit of CC with this as well. Then Shard Passions is the same. High tolerance is now a 1 point node. Exploding keg is the same. Blackout combo has moved, but it is the same. Elusive footwork is a little bit buffed in terms of the damage that it provides, but is relatively the same. Anvil and staff is a 1 point node, and I've added the node from the Legion artifact tree, gifted student. Now it gives crit damage and healing instead of crit chance for more crit synergy and crit scaling. And then I've moved Nizao down to here. He is now a capstone. He has two nodes off of him. The nodes are pretty strong because I want people to use them, and I think it'd be kind of good. So Improve Invoke Nizao is a little bit different. Now Purifying Brew increases the damage that all damage he deals forever. Like all damage he deals for the duration of the cooldown, including every stomp and everything, based on stagger level. And Celestial Brew affects Nizao and 2 nearby injured allies for 25% of the value. This is kind of a reference to like the old Blackhawk statue, how it used to guard people. This is kind of like a little bit of a reminiscent of that. And Walk with the Ox is now flat CDR for 1 minute. So now instead of being a 3-minute cooldown, it'd be a 2-minute cooldown. And it makes Nizao stomp more frequently. And stomp reduces the damage that enemies deal to you and Nizao by 5% for 8 seconds. So overall, he should be a stronger cooldown, more fun to play with. And then I've added a new node here for Improved Exploding Keg. It turns Exploding Keg into a brew and deals more damage. This is from, I got inspired from the Guardian, the Loon's Chosen tree, where it turns Thrash into do arcane damage. It's kind of cool. I thought it'd be kind of cool to be able to turn something into a brew, so it benefits from now all the brew cooldown reduction stuff like Tiger Palm and Keg Smash and stuff. And then Exploding Keg isn't a button that you kind of like save for other buttons. It's kind of one you want to have up as much as possible, so it'd be kind of cool to have up more often. Now this is probably the most OP node that I put on the tree, but seeing as how Brewmaster is the mostly dodge focused tank, I thought it'd be really cool if you could dodge spells and range attacks. So Elusive Brawler now allows you to dodge spells and range attacks that reduce effectiveness. This is probably OP. You could tune it with the reduce effectiveness thing. It'd be really nice though, because there are boss fights like on like a Motherload 3rd boss or the last boss where you just have a bajillion stacks of Elusive Brawler and you can't utilize it. This would be really nice, and it'd be thematic that it dodges everything, and it's kind of like a capstone almost level, so you have to invest heavily to get this. It maybe is OP, but hopefully it's... I think it'd be cool and exciting to pick, which is the point. And then I have a new capstone that I designed that I'm not super happy with, but I wanted to incorporate. One thing that's been missing for me for Brewmaster is that like Chen Stormstout and Brewmaster and Dota 2, one of the core things is that you have the elemental spirits, like the Storm, Earth, and Fire thing, aspect of Brewmaster. Now, one of the initial iterations of this tree had Storm, Earth, and Fire in it, but I feel like that cooldown is just kind of hard to work for Brewmaster, but I still want to incorporate that spirit somehow. Also, as Brewmaster, I wanted it to have a brew as a capstone, because it kind of makes sense. So this kind of functions similarly to Brewmaster from Dota 2. He has these stances called Drunken Brawler. This is kind of similar to that, where you chug a brew. It has 3 charges and a 30-second cooldown. When you chug a brew, you get a buff, either Earth, Storm, or Fire, and it goes in like an order. Earth, it's like a set order. And the buff lasts forever, but you can only benefit from one buff at once. And the buffs are mainly just stat bonuses, so Earth gives you 20% bonus armor and 4% bonus versatility. Storm gives you 30% bonus move speed and 15% bonus mastery, and Fire gives you 50% bonus attack speed and 10% bonus crit. So you'd want to swap stances based on the situation that you're in. So if you're on single target fight, you don't really care about the defensive value, you go to Fire. Earth if you're getting hammered by like auto attacks, or Storm if you want to dodge more or you want move speed. I think it could be kind of cool and kind of fun, but again, I'm not super happy with it, but I think I like the idea of it. And then the capstone for this is Elemental Cocktail. The effects of Spirit Infused Brew are increased by 100% while under the effects of Fortifying Brew. So there's some kind of Fortifying Brew synergy, capstone later in the tree. So if you want cooldown reduction on Fortifying Brew from like Firestone Fortification, then you can choose this and then have some high uptime on that and get huge amount of stats. And this last option is also inspired by Dota 2 Brewmaster and the spirits. It's called Primal Companion. So when you drink a Spirit Infused Brew, it summons a Primal Companion, or like a Storm, Earth, and Fire clone of you that will attack your target or when you drink another Spirit Fuse brew. So you only benefit from one of these at once. If you drink another Spirit Fuse brew, say you have Earth, it'll summon an Earth guy. If you drink Storm, if you drink it again, it'll desummon the Earth guy and summon the Storm guy, and so on and so forth. These will always attack your prior to attacking your current target, so it'll just issue an attack command to your current target, and then they're untargetable and unhealable. So you can't heal these, you can't target them. They kind of just come out, do damage to your target, and then buff you in some way. So in this case, each one buffs enhances the next cast of a certain spell. So for Earth, he comes out and he attacks nearby enemies with slow damaging attacks, like AoE attacks. Every time he hits, it's an AoE hit. It enhances your next Keg Smash, increasing the slow to 70% from 20, and giving it a 20% chance to trigger another Keg Smash. Then for Storm, he comes out, he's a range mob, and he casts Chain Lightning at your current target, and then it bounces up to 4, hit nearby enemies, and then he enhances your next spinning Crane Kick to increase the radius by 50%, so from 8 yards to 12, and causing it to kick up a rushing Jadewind at 500% effectiveness. This would work even if you don't have Jadewind talented. Again, this is the talent where I'm not sure how this would interact with Jadewind, different applications and stuff. Maybe it would just be a separate application, I'm not sure. Then Fire, he attacks your current target with quick melee attacks with swords. He's just, slashing. Enhances your next Breath of Fire. So the Breath of Fire will give you and the companion an immolation aura around you. Perhaps this could increase your movement speed or something, but it does fire damage around the targets. It's like an AoE fire damage thing. And the last node that I didn't mention that is probably the most OP node on this tree, but it is one that I think every Brewmaster would want to have, is Keg of the Heavens. Keg Smash deals an additional 50% damage, heals you for 66% of the damage dealt, and grants you 66% of damage dealt as maximum health for 10 seconds. This is the Sepulcher 4-piece, I think. It's really powerful, but it is at the very bottom of the tree, and it is extremely exciting. You could tune this if you want, but the whole point of this rework is to kind of make Brewmaster OP a little bit, is to, with tanks, you kind of have to force them into the meta and make people play them. I think with this rework, it accomplishes that. I think there will be a lot of different builds for what you could do, and I think this tree is kind of exciting for me personally. I've been working on it for a little bit. Let me know what you think in the comments about this rework, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.